yes, frogs. Those adorable little hoppers that go ribbit and sit on lily pads looking all innocent and whimsical. Yeah, no. These slimy little bastards are out here eating their own skin like it's a snack, breaking their own bones to stab you, and drowning each other during mating season because apparently consent isn't a thing in the amphibian world. And we let kids kiss them, thinking they'll turn into princes. The only thing turning here is your stomach once you find out what these things actually do. From self-cannibalism to body horror that'll make you question if evolution was even paying attention, frogs are basically nature's way of saying, let's make something cute but absolutely unhinged. So buckle up, because I'm about to ruin your childhood memories real quick. The parenting. Let's start with how frogs handle being parents, which is to say, they don't. You probably think frogs lay eggs in water, tadpoles swim around eating algae, and boom, adorable little frogs. Cute, simple, wholesome circle of life stuff. Wrong. Some frogs took the parenting assignment and said, what if we made this as disturbing as physically possible? Take the Suriname toad, which, yeah, is technically a frog, don't come at me. The female doesn't just lay eggs in the water like a normal amphibian. No. During mating, the male literally presses hundreds of eggs into the skin on her back. We're talking he pushes them in there like he's bubble wrapping a package. Then her skin grows over the eggs, sealing them inside her back like some kind of biological storage unit. For the next 3 to 4 months, Mama's just walking around with dozens of babies developing in individual pockets embedded in her flesh. When they're ready to hatch, fully formed baby toads erupt from the holes in her back like the world's worst game of whack-a-mole. Imagine having 60 to 100 pimples on your back, except instead of pus. Tiny frogs pop out. You can't scratch, can't peel them off early. You just have to live with your back looking like a honeycomb of nightmares until your children are ready to burst free. And the Darwin frog? That dad swallows the eggs, stores them in his vocal sac for weeks while they develop, and then literally vomits up fully formed frogs when they're done cooking. His throat bulges like he swallowed a handful of marbles. Father of the Year, everybody. Nothing says, I love you, son, quite like projectile birthing your kids through your mouth. The skin shedding. Now let's talk about how frogs treat their own skin, which is like watching someone eat their own scabs, but make it a lifestyle choice. You know how snakes shed their skin and leave behind a nice clean shell, like they just unzipped a onesie? Frogs do it too, every few weeks, sometimes weekly depending on the species. Except here's where frogs decided to be absolutely feral about it. They eat it. Not like, oops, it fell in my mouth. No, they actively and deliberately stuff their freshly peeled skin into their mouths like it's a fruit roll-up they paid for. They use their little front legs to shove it in there, contorting their bodies in ways that make them look like they're trying to fold themselves in half. The whole process looks like they're wrestling an invisible sleeping bag while simultaneously trying to eat it. And they don't leave a single scrap behind. Full consumption, every single time. Imagine peeling off a layer of your own skin like you're taking off a wetsuit, then wadding it up and eating it like a burrito while maintaining direct eye contact with everyone watching. That's just a Tuesday for a frog. 4. They do this because the shed skin contains proteins and nutrients they don't want to waste, and also because leaving evidence around might attract predators. Efficient? Sure. Absolutely revolting to witness? 100%. The whole ordeal takes about 5 to 10 minutes of them squirming around, yanking skin off with their mouth and hands, looking genuinely stressed about the self-cannibalism they chose to participate in. Some species do this multiple times a week. They're out here practicing recreational self-consumption, and we're supposed to find them charming. The mating speaking of things frogs put in their mouths, let's talk about their mating rituals, which range from kind of aggressive to straight-up assault. You probably think frogs mate all romantically, with some gentle croaking by a pond and a sweet little embrace under the moonlight. Absolutely not. Male frogs grab females in what's called amplexus, which is a fancy science word for chokehold, and they just clamp on. And I mean clamp. They grip so tight around her chest or neck that she can barely breathe, and he'll hold this death grip for hours, sometimes literal days, until she lays her eggs. If she tries to escape, he squeezes harder. If another male tries to interfere, they'll both grab her and play tug-of-war with her body, like she's a wishbone at Thanksgiving. Females have legitimately been found drowned because males held them underwater too long during mating frenzies, Imagine someone bear hugging you from behind, so hard your ribs are creaking, and when you try to leave, they just squeeze tighter and whisper, "Shh, we're not done yet." That's frog romance in a nutshell. During breeding season, it gets even worse because it turns into complete chaos. Multiple males will dogpile onto a single female in what scientists politely call a mating ball, which is just a nice way of saying gang activity. Sometimes 10 or more males all trying to mate with one female at once, and she's just at the bottom of this writhing pile getting absolutely crushed under the weight. And here's the thing, male frogs don't even have quality control. They'll grab literally anything that moves during mating season. Other males, fish, sticks. Your hand if you're dumb enough to reach into the water. They operate on a strict grip first, ask questions never policy. The cannibalism. But you know what's worse than violent mating? When frogs just straight up eat each other for no reason. You probably think frogs have a nice simple diet of flies, mosquitoes, maybe a cricket or two if they're feeling fancy. Nope. Frogs will eat literally anything that fits in their mouth, and that very much includes other frogs. Bullfrog tadpoles will munch on smaller tadpoles like popcorn, including their own siblings, without a second thought. It's not even a survival thing half the time. They're just bored and hungry. Adult frogs eat smaller adult frogs. Some species of horned frogs have mouths so ridiculously oversized they can swallow frogs nearly their own size. They're basically the snake of the amphibian world, but with legs and significantly worse judgment. Imagine you're at a family reunion and your bigger cousin just unhinges their jaw and tries to swallow you whole because you're technically bite-sized. That's standard frog family dynamics. African bullfrogs are especially notorious for this. If food gets even slightly scarce, they'll just start eating their own kids. Not even conflicted about it. Scientists call them opportunistic feeders, which is just a polite way of saying will literally eat anything, including their children, if given half a chance. And it's not a quick death either, because frogs don't chew. They swallow their prey alive and whole, then let their stomach acid do all the work over the next few hours. So, if you're a baby frog getting eaten by dad, congrats. You're being slowly digested alive while fully conscious. And here's the best part. Frogs have terrible aim. They'll lunge at anything that moves, miss constantly, and accidentally eat rocks, dirt, or even their own foot. They're not even good at being cannibals. They're just committed to the bit. The body horror. Now let's get to the absolute nightmare fuel that makes you wonder if God was on a lunch break when he designed frogs. You think frogs are just smooth, slimy, regular-looking amphibians, right? Meet the hairy frog. When this thing gets threatened, it breaks its own toe bones and pushes them through its skin to create makeshift claws. That's right, it wolverines itself on purpose. Just snaps its own finger bones and stabs them out through its flesh, like nature's worst self-defense mechanism. And it works multiple times. This frog can repeatedly fracture and expose its bones as weapons whenever it feels mildly inconvenienced. Imagine if every time someone startled you, your knuckles just snapped backward, burst through your skin, and turned into knives. And you were totally fine with that as a solution. That's the hairy frog's entire personality. But wait, there's more, because glass frogs exist, and they have fully transparent skin on their bellies, so you can literally watch all their organs, blood vessels, and eggs just sloshing around inside them like a biology textbook that gained sentience. You can see their heart beating in real time, watch their intestines digest food. It's like they're permanently inside out for no reason other than to make you uncomfortable. And wood frogs, they literally freeze solid during winter. Ice crystals form in their blood, their heart stops beating, they're clinically dead for months, and then they just thaw out in spring like nothing happened. They're out here dying and resurrecting on a seasonal schedule like it's a hobby. Some can survive with up to 70% of their body water turned to ice. Their organs shut down completely. They are corpses. Then spring hits and they just wake up and hop away. Absolutely unhinged behavior from start to finish. So yeah, frogs are out here eating their own skin like it's meal prep, breaking their bones to stab predators, drowning each other during mating season, cannibalizing their own children, and casually dying and coming back to life for fun. They're nature's little chaos agents wrapped in slimy, inconsistent packages that somehow convinced us they were cute. I know some of y'all are never looking at a frog the same way again. You're welcome. That Kermit meme you love, ruined. That cute frog you saw in your garden last week probably just finished eating its own face and is currently plotting which sibling to consume next. The princess kissing a frog fairy tale. Yeah, she's getting amplexist whether she likes it or not, but honestly, frogs are still kind of amazing. In a deeply disturbing, makes you question if evolution was paying attention sort of way. Still my favorite amphibian, though.